Good afternoon, everybody. Um, wasn't sure if I was gonna record a episode today, but here I am. Um, as promised, um, Ferrari Friday. Today we will be talking about the history of Ferrari. So it says that the origins of the legend. So since 1947, we have been building cars uh, destined to win on the track and on the road in Maranello. I think, yeah, okay. Um, the greatest challenge, the one against time. So they're really, they're really focused on. They're very what is it uh you know uh racing driven, and just they're very they're very race car, and uh can't think of the word right now. Hopefully you guys know what I mean. But all right, continuing. um it says select a decade to explore. So I'm feeling the mid 90s. So around, roughly around, let me see. Where should I choose? 90, 91, 92. Let me see. Just trying to find a year to. I'm gonna go with 97. Okay, revolutionary gearbox, the first GT with wheel gear and uh, with wheel gear change. Okay. There's like a podcast on here, so I don't know how long this is gonna be. So yeah, I'm just gonna play it. Oh, it's not even 5 minutes long. Alright, guys.
Some cars, more than others, mark a great technological leap forward, drawing liberally from the best possible research and performance lab. Formula One. This was the case with the Ferrari 355 F1 Berlinetta. The car, unveiled at the 1997 Frankfurt Motor Show, was directly derived from the F355 Berlinetta, a small sedan introduced in 1994, driven by an 8-cylinder rear longitudinal engine and marked by a soft and compact line, continuing the tradition that had garnered so much success with the previous 308, 328 and 348 models. However, the technological content of the 355 F1 was vastly more advanced than its predecessors, having been tried and tested in Formula One. We only have to consider the aerodynamics, the subject of detailed studies by Pininfarina, which not only determined the style and shape of the aluminium and steel body, but also the design of the flat bottom to achieve a perfect balance of vertical loads. Indeed, the F355 Berlinetta was the first car with a shape that optimized the disposal and control of the airflows in the underbody, ensuring a constant interaction between the vehicle and the ground to the advantage of road holding. The engine itself was the subject of study and transfer of technology from the track, providing the F355 with extremely high performance, 109 HP per litre. Specific power and torque were the result of the adoption of a head with 5 valves per cylinder and electronic fuel injection. On top of this already superb base, Ferrari decided to introduce a revolutionary element from Formula One, a semi-automatic gearbox with steering wheel controls. This technological innovation was developed for single-seaters as early as 1979, thanks to Mauro Forghieri's intuition, but was only brought to the track in 1989 when Nigel Mansell and his 640 F1 won in Brazil in its debut season. 8 years passed from its victorious debut in F1 to its use in a prancing horse road car, and the vehicle chosen was an evolution of the F355 Berlinetta that for this reason changed its name to 355 F1 Berlinetta. The 355 F1 Berlinetta, unlike the F355, had an F1 type drivetrain management system. This solution, like in single-seaters, used an electro-hydraulic system and sophisticated software. The gear shift control is on the steering wheel with 2 levers, allowing the driver to change without taking their hands off the wheel.
Yeah, guys, so man, that was something. Alright, I'm gonna go into 1996 now. Let's see. Under 5 minutes.
The Monaco Grand Prix took place at the Monte Carlo circuit on the 19th of May 1996. Michael Schumacher's Ferrari F310 was on pole. On this unique circuit, Schumacher had again displayed all his qualities. A light rain was falling over the Principality, which only added to the fans' confidence because the German was always among the fastest in the wet. However, the unexpected happened. Michael started badly, losing first position, and while chasing the Williams of David Coulthard, took a wet rubbing strip too confidently at the Portier corner to end up against the barriers. "I made a serious mistake, throwing an excellent opportunity to the wind," he said, adding, "I thank the team for the work done. I owe Ferrari's fans." The chance to repay that debt came 2 weeks later in Spain. In qualifying, in the dry, the Williams called the shots, as it did all season. Damon Hill won pole position, 0.4 of a second ahead of Jacques Villeneuve, and almost a second in front of Schumacher. However, on race day, it was pouring. It looked like the race would start behind the safety car, but at the last moment, the race director decided that it could go ahead as normal. The cars set off gingerly over the soaking wet Catalan asphalt, and Schumacher had one of the worst starts, slipping to 7th place by the first corner, behind his teammate Eddie Irvine. Meanwhile, the race director's decision proved way off the mark, with 5 cars retiring in the first lap alone. Irvine joined them on the second lap, going into a spin, and his engine stalling. On lap 3, Schumacher was already in a battle with the Benetton of Gerhard Berger for 4th place, although the duel quickly became one for 3rd place because, in the meantime, race leader Hill had spun. Indeed, Hill would spin again before ending his race against the pit wall. Thus, Villeneuve took the lead ahead of the other Benetton of Jean Alesi. Schumacher was 3rd, having overtaken Berger on lap 4, before speeding off in pursuit of the Frenchman. Jean was a wizard in the rain, but Michael had an excellent day. In less than no time, he was in the slipstream of the Benetton, and by the 9th lap was in 2nd place. The number of laps Villeneuve would stay in the lead also appeared numbered. Just 3 laps passed before the Ferrari took the lead, and by lap 13, Schumacher had stretched the gap to 4 seconds ahead of the Canadian. Michael was the absolute master of the race. Lap after fast lap, he built up a lead over everyone. His 14th lap was the fastest of the race in 1 minute 45.571. The fastest of the others, Rubens Barrichello for Jordan, was 2.2 seconds slower. From the outside, you might have thought that everything was going smoothly. But actually, Schumacher's incredible pace masked difficulties with his engine. The 046 V10, a type that the Federation had imposed on all manufacturers. Indeed, on lap 18, 1 or 2 cylinders stopped working due to water infiltration, to the point that anyone with an ear for these things began to fear a breakdown. On the 24th lap, the engine was running well again, but 7 laps later, the worrying sound returned. Michael's lead over the first of his pursuers, Alesi, dropped from 1 minute to 45 seconds, but the day was destined for a happy ending. The F310 crossed the finish line first, and Schumacher notched up his first victory with the Scuderia to kick off a series that would only end 10 years and 71 wins later at the 2006 Chinese Grand Prix.
Yeah, that's something else. I'm sorry, it's really something how, like, at every other car manufacturer that have raced in Formula One, or, you know, well-known motorsports, Ferrari is the second, if not third best. This just me being biased, but I do think that McLaren is the best overall in winning. Well, not just winning, but like also how many poles they get before the race even starts. But it depends on, of course, the car, and the driver, and how, like, smart and everything the crew is. But again, Ferrari, others might say, oh no, what are you talking about? They're number one, yada yada yada. Okay, well, that's your opinion. And, I'm not gonna sit here and, argue with you on, oh, if they're the best or not. Again, that is your opinion. But I don't know, guys. I'm not really a Ferrari person. Like, for example, I cannot drive like a vehicle like at all. If I could though, I would not own a Ferrari like at all. Um, Financial reasons, number one. Number two, um, like out of pocket, I'll probably need like actually not even half a million, probably like 800,000, 900,000. Cause like the Ferrari I would want, it would be 500,000, and then uh like to actually like keep it, so like maintenance and stuff and pretty much everything on top of buying the car, it would be at least 300,000, like over said car's lifetime and everything. Um, but yeah. Um, all right. Go back. Wait, I think there's a separate section, guys, for when if I like wanna look at. Hold on. Let me see if this is, if it's still, cause like I don't wanna just, sit here and talk about Ferrari's motorsport and industry, like time that, oh no, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Um, okay, this is really smart what they did. So I'm gonna, Ferrari website, as you guys know, and they have two sections. They have a section of moments, which, hence, they're like mini podcasts and stuff. And then if you go over and um, hit garage, um, you select the year, and like I'm gonna go to 06, 2006. Wait, is this? Come on. Come on. Okay, here we go. Um, '09. Okay. So they split it up to where on one side there is like the actual race car, and then and then literally right next to it is their like road going cars. So like for '09, the F60, F1 car from that year, and then the 458 Italia, which, eh, depending on, you know, the way you look at that Ferrari, that thing could or it could not be a monster to this day. I personally don't think it's a monster. It was, when it first, released, and um, it was. I still think it's fast, but at the same time, I don't. Um, I'm just gonna let me see if they. I mean it. It looks a certain way. But you know, it just. I don't know. It just hits me differently because Ferrari, they just released their a brand new Ferrari. Well, one of the top brand new ones, the F80. Um, it is the successor to. I want to say it's the successor to the F80, to the LaFerrari that came out in either 2013 or 2012. I think it was 2013 that the LaFerrari came out. Um, okay, I'm still going over the 458. Man, wait, let me see. Did this thing have a? Okay, I thought this thing had a spoiler in the back, but no, it did not. This thing was in, I forget which Transformers it was in, but it was in one of them. I think it was an Autobot, if I'm not mistaken. Um, oh, I think that one of the most underrated Ferraris is the Ferrari California. Um, I don't know if you guys know that Ferrari, but um, it's not that that it's not that it's ugly to me or anything. It's just it's underrated to me, at least. Like, that's my opinion. Um, it looks like it has pick up and go, but I just, and the thing is too is that it looks somewhat affordable. Like, personally, if I were to buy one of these, um, I would hands down like afford it, and I'm talking about like after after taxes, after like during its lifetime and stuff, cause um like I just mentioned, the 458 could never afford that thing, like, at all. um Yeah, the California looks much, much more like affordable to me, even though, some might say, oh, it's outdated. There are literally modded, I don't know how many of I don't, I think that the majority of these are like stock. But there are, some modded F50s and F40s. Again, those for the most part are like bone stock. They still look somewhat sick. But you know, yeah, this man, it looks you know okay, another podcast from
Can a masterpiece be improved by a copy made years later? The answer may be yes. Looking, for example, at the famous Virgin of the Rocks by Leonardo da Vinci. The first version of this work, now kept in the Louvre, was painted sometime between 1483 and 1486, while the second, found at the National Gallery in London, was completed between 1506 and 1508. The differences between these two versions may seem imperceptible to a casual observer, but not when subject to in-depth analysis. Similarly, the F512M is a reworking of the Testarossa from the 1980s, but an improvement on it in many important details. The F512M is not only the most developed version of the Testarossa series, but is also the rarest. It was the last of the Ferraris with the centrally positioned 12-cylinder Boxer engine, derived from the famous 312T that dominated Formula One in the 1970s. Obviously, Ferrari technicians profoundly revised and optimized the unit fitted to the F512M, particularly in terms of its thermodynamic characteristics and kinematics, with undoubted benefits for maximum power, now increased to 440 HP. The increase in power provided improved acceleration over the previous model, and because various parts of the car were now lighter, there was also a better power-to-weight ratio. The letter M that appears next to the F512 and that indicates the modified version of the car was no mere marketing operation, but emphasizes the in-depth work carried out on every part of the model. This can be seen, for example, in the improved aerodynamic penetration achieved through big changes to the lines and the shape, both at the nose and the tail. However, the Pininfarina designers and Maranello engineers focused mainly on the front. The new nose line was closely related to that of the 355 model, and with the style of the 456 GT 2+2, the most radical change in the appearance of the front from the original Testarossa or the 512 TR was the disappearance of the double retractable headlamps, replaced by fixed homofocal type units protected by a glass cover. The bonnet was fitted with a pair of small NACA ducts, situated towards the windscreen, which convey air to the improved air conditioning system. The stained black full-width horizontal grille in the tail is smaller, and its sides contain new circular twin rear lights, in stylistic homage to the history of the company. The F512M, which replaced the 512 TR, was presented at the Paris Motor Show in the autumn of 1994, although it was shown in secret at Maranello to a number of foreign specialist magazines by official Scuderia driver Jean Alesi. This car also uses an F for Ferrari as a prefix to the model number. In this case, it indicates, as previously on the 512 TR, its 5-litre engine capacity and the number of cylinders. However, the suffix M, in addition to indicating the modified version, is itself a tribute to the letter that Ferrari used on the 512S competition sports car prototypes of the early 1970s, when they were updated to the 512M.
Wow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That is, yeah. I swear, guys, Ferrari's history is, it is something else. Something else for sure.
It is difficult to evolve an icon like the Testarossa. Difficult, but not impossible. And in 1992, Ferrari responded with the 512TR. While keeping the conceptual framework that had stunned the world in 1984, the new car featured a number of external cosmetic changes that improved the aerodynamics of the elegant Pininfarina lines, while the interiors were more comfortable and ergonomic. The new car marked a return to the use of acronyms. The 5 refers to the engine capacity in litres, the 12 to the number of cylinders, and TR stands for Testarossa. It was unveiled at the Los Angeles Motor Show, an event always interested in all news from the world of the prancing horse. The 512TR can be distinguished from its inspirational predecessor by the redesigned radiator grille, which was more in line with the new design trends introduced with the 348. The light clusters are embedded in the body on either side of the grille, which continued to play more of an aesthetic than aerodynamic role, while the traditional pop-up headlights were retained. With the advent of the 512TR, the raised section and the side air vents of the revised profile were painted in satin black, while the portion of vents located in the tail were keyed the same color as the body. There was also a tiny, barely perceptible difference in the profile of the rear buttresses, which in the 512TR were linear and connected directly to the roof panel, instead of a step and a perforated grille edge, as on the Testarossa. New alloy wheels were also introduced, as a very stylish interpretation of the traditional Ferrari 5-pointed star-shaped design. These rims concealed big, drilled and ventilated disc brakes with 4 piston calipers. The independent suspension and steering systems were based on the Testarossas, albeit with small variations and adjustments to adapt to larger diameter wheels and to ensure more precise handling. The 12-cylinder Boxer engine with 4 valves per cylinder and dry sump lubrication was an improved version of the drive unit used in the Testarossa, thanks to the adoption of the Bosch Motronic injection system. Although capacity remained an identical 4943cc, the numerous changes boosted output by 38 horsepower, 428 HP on models for the European market, 421 HP at the same RPM on models made for the United States. This increase in power improved acceleration, while the top speed was similar to that of the previous model. The 12-cylinder Boxer was also 30 millimeters closer to the ground, lowering the center of gravity to improve road holding and handling, increasing traction, and generally improving driving flexibility.
Wow. Jesus. Alright, two more guys, and that will be it. So
in Paris in 1992, Pininfarina presented a true prancing horse classic. A front-engined GT, driven by a traditional 12-cylinder engine and capable of exceptional performance. The Turin-based design house and coach builder fulfilled the task in admirable fashion by creating yet another simple and elegant shape, and adding yet another Ferrari of incomparable class and charm to an already extensive list. The theme of the 2+2 Coupe reached its apotheosis in the 456 GT of 1992, after 3 years with no similarly configured V12 model in the prancing horse range. Announced in September 1992 at the 40th anniversary of an important Belgian dealer, the 456 GT made its public debut in Paris the following month. The soft, rounded lines drawn by Pininfarina as a modern reinterpretation of the unforgettable 365 GTB4 Daytona, with its long bonnet and retractable pop-up headlights, which then move up towards the passenger compartment, immediately received unanimous praise from the public and critics. The design of the tail and the cockpit also drew inspiration from the Daytona. The car's shape is quite modern but contains classic elements, referring to the history of the company. The motorized spoiler underneath the tail panel provides a special, almost imperceptible aerodynamic effect. Its angle of incidence varies depending on the speed and acts on the downforce of the car. As with all other models in the range, the car was designed from the outset for all world markets, with a specific version for the American market. However, while previous GT 2+2 models could come with an automatic transmission, the 456 GT was initially offered only with manual transmission. Another analogy with the Daytona is that the gearbox is mounted in a single unit with the differential and final drive, the well-known transaxle system. The engine was completely new, the first 12-cylinder unit after the famous 12 Boxer 20 years earlier. With a total capacity of 5,474 cc, the engine produces 442 HP at 6,200 revs per minute. The stylish leather finish interior came as standard, and the electrically adjustable front seats automatically move forward to make access to the rear easier, where two adults can fit in adequate comfort. To fully utilize the boot space, the car came with a set of suitcases as standard.
wow, the car comes with suitcase. Yeah, that's wow. Let me just make sure. Two more actually. Wait. Yeah, two more. Okay.
One of Ferrari's greatest strengths has always been its focus on fostering close relations with its clients by attempting to meet as many of their needs as possible, particularly in the case of exclusive products like sports cars. The relationship between supplier and purchaser has to be carefully nurtured each and every day. Attentiveness and the ability to listen are vital factors, as is a willingness to innovate and create initiatives that mirror clients' dreams and ambition. In 1991, Ferrari realized there was a growing interest among owners in using their cars on the track. Just a year later, the idea took shape of creating a high-level single-make championship. contact was made with the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile to guarantee the highest standards of safety would be met. Ferrari also entered into talks with some of Italy and Europe's finest and most spectacularly beautiful circuits to allow clients to compete on suitably atmospheric tracks. From the very earliest stage of the rule drafting process, it was decided to allow only official Ferrari dealerships to compete to guarantee absolute transparency in performance terms. The Prancing Horse officially announced the launch of the Ferrari Challenge at Mugello in the autumn of 1992. It would span an Italian and a European series, each comprising 6 rounds, of which the final one would be shared. On that same day, Ferrari also unveiled the TB and TS versions of the 348 Challenge, the car chosen for the series. In line with the tradition of allowing road cars to be converted into racing versions, the 348 was equipped with a special kit which, once removed, returned the car to its original configuration. The kit comprised a roll cage, 6-point safety harness, 18-inch magnesium wheels, a fire extinguisher, front and rear tow hooks, and an electric circuit breaker. The 348 Challenge's engine unleashed 320 horses, 20 or so more than the road version. The brakes too were boosted. The Italian series was first to debut, with its maiden round getting underway at Monza on March 28. The first ever Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli race was won by Paolo Rossi in car number 5, an almost fluorescent 348. Race 2 was won by Roberto Ragazzi, who went on to become the Ferrari Challenge's first champion at the end of the season. The first round of the European Series, on the other hand, took place at Magny-Cours just a week later, and both races were dominated by Bernd Hahne, brother of 1970s Formula One driver Hubert. The German also won the first European title and triumphed at the Finalissima at Mugello. The Ferrari Single-Make Championship proved such an instant international success that it was decided to launch a North American series in 1994. Celebrities, the likes of singer Eros Ramazzotti and sports personalities such as skier Christian Gadina, frequently appear in the Italian and European series. The Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli continues to go from strength to strength, with 3 Continental Series and around 150 cars doing battle on the world's most beautiful circuits each year. In all, over 1,000 drivers have competed in the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli since 1993, many of whom have gone on to excel in high-profile GT championships, signalling the Ferrari series as a hothouse for talented closed-wheel drivers.
Alright, last one.
Just think of 4 camshafts rotating 4,300 times a minute. Imagine 60 valves opening 70 times a second and 12 pistons pumping in a blur of speed. Now, also imagine that you are in there without oil and think of the stresses it has to endure. At maximum power output, every stroke of the Ferrari's F50's pistons unleashes a 4-ton load on the bearings, and all that is protecting the latter from instantaneous destruction is an incredibly thin film of lubricant. Why does Ferrari trust only Shell Helix Ultra? Because just like the F50 engine, Shell Helix Ultra is the product of Formula One technology. The direct link between the Ferrari F50's bloodline and Formula One not only transcends technological confine, but also communications barriers, as can be seen from the voiceover for an ad for Maranello's long-standing lubricant supplier, featuring the car's powertrain. Designed to celebrate the Scuderia Ferrari's 50th anniversary and unveiled at the Geneva International Motor Show, the model genuinely was a road-going Formula One car. However, Formula One's direct influence wasn't limited solely to the engine, the 12-cylinder sported by the 640 and 641, fielded by Nigel Mansell and Alain Prost, albeit boosted from 3,500 to 4,698 cc. It also impacted the car's overall concept. Just like the single-seater, the engine was a weight-bearing member with the pushrod rear suspension mated to it. The front suspensions, which attached to the carbon fiber chassis, were inspired by those of the 1980s 126C too. Also, as in a Formula One car, the oil tank for the dry sump system was not a separate entity, but incorporated within the final drive housing casting. The use of cutting-edge materials also pointed to the F50's close links with the highest racing formula. The engineers used everything from carbon fiber to titanium for the conrods and front hubs, and magnesium and aluminium alloy for the wheel rims. The rear hubs, on the other hand, adopted a solution invented and patented by Ferrari for its single-seaters that reduces power loss. Crafted once again by Pininfarina, the F50 styling took 2,000 hours of wind tunnel testing to perfect and effortlessly combined iconic styling features with extreme technical and aerodynamic demands. It is in that particular regard that the F50 stands head and shoulders above its rivals of the day. Its underbody generates downforce that guarantees exceptional ground effect, with lateral acceleration of up to 1.4 G, i.e. very close to a Formula One's figure. The car's grip was boosted too by Goodyear Fiorano tyres, developed specifically for it.
Alrighty guys, that was the history of, Ferrari. Mainly they're like road-going cars. I don't know exactly when, but I'm gonna cover, like the 2000s, history and whatnot. Yeah, I don't know when that's gonna be. Because I have things going on, but one of these days I will be covering that decade, so alright guys, that was the first episode of Ferrari history. I don't know if I'll see you guys next Friday, but I will definitely see you on a Friday next time. If not, I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a good rest of your weekend, and again, make sure to